Okay, I'll go ahead and get started. I'm sure there'll be people showing up here in just a couple of minutes. I am really excited to be here today. My name is Kate Biel, and I am the learning specialist here with the Showbie and Socrative team. What this webinar is going to be about is just basically showing you how to get the absolute most out of your free Showbie Basic experience. All of these features that we're going to be going over today are going to be with the free version. And if you're here, then that means that you're at the very start of your Showbie journey, which is really exciting because your life is about to get way less complicated. And I cannot wait to start showing you some of the features that Showbie will allow you to use within your classroom. So first of all, we've got a couple of people here. Again, my name is Kate. We also have Sarah, who is from marketing, and then Chris is a teacher over in the UK. They will be joining us today to help answer any questions. If you do have any questions, just feel free to put those in the Q&A. It makes it much easier for us to answer, but feel free to use that chat feature. I will be opening up the meeting at the end of this kind of overview just to kind of have any further discussions, or if you have any other questions that I haven't gone over, any of those specific things that you want me to show you, I am happy to do so. But for now, a little bit about me. Let's see if I can move on. Here we go. Well, my name again is Kate Biel. I am the learning specialist here at Showbie. I am fresh out of the 6th grade math classroom. I have been a teacher here in Texas since 2015. And once I put that on paper, it didn't really seem like a whole lot of time, but as we teachers know, sometimes those years last longer than others. So I absolutely loved where I worked, and my students and my admin, I absolutely loved it. I have been a longtime Showbie user, and I am a Showbie certified educator. I can give you more information on that Showbie certified educator program at the end of the session if you are interested, which I highly suggest you look into. I started using Showbie literally my 3rd week into my very first year of teaching. We all know our very first year of teaching is kind of a hot mess express. And basically I was just trying to chug along and trying to survive like we all are. But I found myself taking crates and crates of homework home and not spending time with my family, not spending time for myself. I was just taking work home with me. And I know we all do it. I was very, very guilty of that. And I just thought that maybe at some point there's got to be an easier way. And I am strongly opposed to the idea of, oh, just because we've done it for so long, we should continue doing it forever. That's not really how my head works. So I started using Showbie my 3rd week in my first year of teaching, and I absolutely never looked back. Even though I am out of the classroom now, there is absolutely no question I would not have lasted as long as I did in the classroom if not for Showbie. It gave me time at home that I didn't have to take work home with me. It gave me instructional time in the classroom, and it also cut down a lot on my behavioral issues once I started a routine and implementing this kind of digital classroom hybrid learning experience with my kids. And one thing that I am truly passionate about is actively looking for ways to make not only my life, but other people's lives easier, which Showbie absolutely did for me. I, again, don't know if I would have lasted as long as I did in the classroom if I had not started using Showbie. And I never have had a productive relationship with a copy machine. Never once has it gone smoothly for me. And I am very anti-foldable. If that's you, I don't mean to offend. It just gives me the heebie-jeebies to do foldables and have scissors and cutting and all of this paper scraps and all of the, oh my gosh, it makes my heart beat fast just thinking about it even now, and I'm not even in the classroom. So I really wanted a way that I could still have a an informative, an interactive learning experience for my kids, while also avoiding the things that gave me heebie-jeebies and giving sixth graders scissors. That just did not sit very well with me, or glue for that matter. Oh my gosh. If you're still using glue in your classroom, Lord, love you. So that's a little bit about me. I am happy to give you any further background that you would like. Just feel free to put that question in the Q&A or in the chat. That's perfectly fine. Now a little bit about the Showbie platform. We are a hybrid learning platform that is designed to quickly and easily deliver rich, personalized feedback to students of all abilities on any device. It's one of the most amazing things about Showbie is that it is so simple and streamlined and intuitive. And there are so many complicated things that we have to deal with as teachers. Anyway, we don't really need anything else to add to our plate. So the fact that Showbie is so easy to use, not only for us teachers, but also for our students, it's a no-brainer. It's absolutely a no-brainer to start implementing. It's super easy within your classroom. And in my opinion, what this should say is a hybrid learning platform that sometimes make our jobs suck a little less, makes it a little bit easier, because our job is really hard sometimes. And anytime that we can make it easier for ourselves, why not do it? So it's a little bit about Showbie. Now we'll go into what you should expect from this quick webinar. This is, again, how to get started, the very, very basics. So these are the 4 tenets of our webinar today. First of all, we're going to talk about getting started, which is going to look like how you log in, how you sign up, just basic from the ground up. Here's the very lowest level, getting started. Then preparing your classroom, getting prepared, which looks like creating classes, getting kids inside those classes, and then creating those learning experiences once your kids are in. Then we have personalizing our teaching. This will go into sort of the annotation capabilities and the personalized feedback options that we have within those assignments. And then my top tips. This is basically my favorite ways that I use Showbie inside my actual classroom, and what I wish I could do if I was still in the classroom, or what I should have been doing more that would have made my life even more easy. So one more time, this is our very free version. It's important to me that you know that I am not here to sell you anything. This is all free for you to use. All of these features we'll go over today are free. So let's just dive right in with getting started. So this is what your screen will look like initially if you are going to showbie.com on the web. Showbie is optimized for iOS. There is a fantastic iPad app that's really what Showbie is optimized for, but it is identical across platforms. So via web app, or what I'm on right now is a Mac, and there is an app for my Mac that I am on currently. But all of the features are pretty much identical, and you'll have access to all of the things that I will show you across each platform, no matter what platform you're on. So what you'll do first is you'll click this sign up for free button, and it's going to lead you to this screen. You'll tell it if you're either a teacher, a student, or parent. You're probably going to be a teacher. And then it'll ask you to sign up with an email, or you have other sign up options. You can sign up using Google or FIDA or Microsoft. My school was a Microsoft community, which made my kids' lives so easy signing in. You have those options available, or if you just want to sign in with your email, that's perfectly fine too. It will ask you what school you are in, what school you're signing up with. And it will also ask you if you want to go ahead and join a class, but you don't have to join a class if you were just starting from zero. And then it'll get you started, and it's super, super simple. So that's what you'll do to sign up. But after then, once you do is you click the sign in, and I'm going to go ahead and just sign in using my email and my password. I hope I typed that in right. Perfect. All right. And then it'll open up straight to your class view. Before you put any classes in, it'll be totally and completely blank. And then you might also get some pop-ups down here from our support team, or even from our product team. These are actual live people. They're not just bots. Carvin is our senior support specialist. He is amazing. You may even get some messages from Morgan or Sarah. They are truly here to help you get started with your Showbie journey. So if you have any questions, feel free to either click that button or react to their messages that you'll see down there at the bottom right-hand corner. Now, what I have over here is exactly how I would set up my classes in my actual classroom. Because I taught middle school, I only taught one subject, and I had multiple sections of that subject. Now, your classroom may be elementary, so you may want to set up your classes a little bit differently, but this is how I set mine up by each period or block. So I had 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. If you're elementary, you may consider creating classes based on subject. So having a math class or a reading class. And so you'll have 3 or 4 or 5 classes that all your kids will sign up for. And that might be a really good way for you to organize your Showbie life. That actually might really help. But what I've done is again, separated these into periods. Now I do have one missing class that I do want to go ahead and add, and I'll do that very quickly just to show you how quick and intuitive this is. To create a class, what you'll do is you'll click up here at this wrench up here, and then you can either create a new class or you can join a class with a class code, and I'll talk about that here in a minute. I'll go ahead and create my new class. I'm actually going to call it second period. What I am going to do is I'm going to add a fun emoji, which you absolutely can do with all of these aspects in Showbie. So I'll do second period math Biel. I always include the subject and my name at the end of my classes, just to make sure if kids are using Showbie in multiple classrooms, which is ideal. If they're using Showbie in multiple classrooms, they always know that they're in the right place. And it also helps them figure out how to spell your name. So it has automatically generated this class code for this second period class. And this is what you will give to your students once you get them into Showbie. So I'll go ahead and save. And it automatically created that class for me and opened it right up. So now I can start adding assignments to it. I'll go ahead and back out for now. So now you can see I have that second period up here. And thankfully, in the very beginning, it does include that class code right there at the bottom, but it won't always be there. You will also get an email from Showbie saying, hey, congratulations on your first class. Here's the class code. Give that to your kids. So that's handy. You always have access to that class code. It doesn't just disappear. If you ever need it again, you can click on your class, click on that wrench, and then right here in class settings, it gives that to you right off the bat. So super simple. Okay, so as far as getting your kids into Showbie, there are a couple of different options, and one of them that I'm really super excited about. So the initial startup signing up process for your students is exactly the same as how you signed up. They will need to sign in using either their Google login or their Microsoft or their FIDA login, or they can sign up just using a username. I did that in years past before my school was Microsoft. I had my kids create a username and then their password, and that was how we did that. But you can also, again, just Google or Microsoft or FIDA. And then once they get signed up and actually see this view of their Showbie, they will need to go ahead and join your class. So up here on their end, instead of a wrench, it's going to be a plus sign. And the very first time they'll log in, it'll be this, they'll have this yellow flag over here that it'll prompt them to join a class or click here to join a class. So they'll click that, and that is where they'll put that class code in. But they only need to do that one time. Okay, so once they do that one time, then they will show up in your Showbie class. Okay, so I have, first of all, I'll show you what that looks like. So in my third period class, I do have, you can click over here to your class members. I've got all my kids that are signed up for my third period. And so you have access to see all of their information there. And then I do want to talk about this QR code thing, because none of us have ever had any issues with our kids signing into anything, right? They always remember their passwords. They never forget anything. Well, if you have experienced this with your kids, a way for you to avoid that and hopefully keep all of your hair and mental capacities, you can actually use QR codes for each of your kids. So what Showbie does is once you activate those QR codes, which is super easy, and I'll go over that in a minute. Once you activate those QR codes, all your kids have to do is grab their device once they come into class, scan the QR code, and then it automatically opens up Showbie with in the correct class, the correct student, and there is no wiggle room. There's no way for them to put in the wrong password. There's no way for them to put in the wrong username. It just happens. It's like magic. So I highly encourage you to utilize this feature with your kids, especially if they're in the younger grades. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and show you how to activate. Now, this is with a class whose students have already used that class code to sign into my class. So I'll go to my fourth period, I believe it is. I'll click on that wrench so I can see all of my class members. And then you'll notice that they don't have that QR code the way that my third period did. It's because I haven't activated it. So I'll go ahead and click up here where it says Get QR Codes. And then I can either select a couple of them, or I can select all and get QR codes. So I'm going to go ahead and say yes, because I do want them to have their QR codes enabled. Might take a little bit to generate. And here is a wonderful, magnificent PDF for you to download and print out and give to your students so they never have to worry about remembering their username and password ever again. Some use cases that I've heard with these QR codes is mostly with elementary kiddos. If you print this out and then have it laminated, and then you can tape it onto tape each kid's QR code onto their specific desk. That way they never have to worry about finding it. That is an excellent way for those kids to always have access to that QR code. But this was one of those features that I absolutely should have used more often. It's a newer feature. We didn't really have it. I believe it's new maybe in January, but and so now all of my kids have that QR code. So if I just need one kid, let's say Boba Fett does not remember how to log in, I can go to his QR code, pull it up, he can scan it, and he goes right on in to Showbie. It's fantastic. I love it. If he loses it, you can click on this refresh code, create him a new one, and there he goes. It's super simple. Never have to worry about kids remembering their passwords ever. Oh my gosh, that just makes my heart sing. Oh, okay. So that's my fourth period class. And that is getting started with your kiddos. So now let's go into the being prepared column of our webinar. We've looked into creating a class. And by the way, you can create as many classes as you want with the Showbie Basic account. as many classes as you want. There is no limit. The world is your oyster, as many as you want. Now, as far as inviting students, again, I mentioned that up here, it will ask them to join a class. Instead of a wrench, it'll be a plus sign where they will click and then put in that specific code for each specific class. Again, if you are an elementary teacher and you would like to have a specific class for each subject that you're teaching, they will need to have different class codes for each of those classes, but they only have to put them in one time. So super simple. And last one, we talked about QR codes, and now let's go into actually creating a learning experience for our kids. So I'll go into my third period class, and then you'll see that I don't have anything over here. Whenever you start having assignments, they're all going to show up right here. But I do get a prompt that says to add an assignment. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And I can either create an assignment or a folder. Again, there's that code for my kids, another place for us to see that in case I need it. I'm going to go ahead and create a new assignment. And what I'll do here is, so for my kids in my class, we had weekly homework, period, the end, no matter what. Do we have homework, Ms. Biel? Yes, every week. So what I had was a specific assignment in Showbie that the kids always had access to, and that was where all of their homeworks were assigned. And there was no question about it. They always could go and have access to that assignment. So I will go ahead and create that assignment now. Let's see. I want another fun emoji. Let's see. Spiral. Yes, let's do it. Oh, look, I already have it up here. So my homeworks were called computation spiral reviews. So again, I taught math, so it's always necessary for us to constantly be reviewing things that we've done in the past and not just moving forward and just assuming that the kids remember things. So in their homework, it was a spiral homework that went back to all of the skills that they should have learned in 5th grade or the skills that we learned maybe earlier in the week. So here is where we did here's where we can put all of our computation spiral reviews. I've added that title. I could add a due date. There are a lot of different options. I'm going to go ahead and remove the due date for this assignment just so the kids can constantly have access to it and not worry about it being late or anything. But you do have the option to say, okay, I want it due on this day. And if you want to go ahead and lock that assignment at the due date, you can set a schedule. You can set a schedule to where it will either turn the assignment as view only, or it will lock it down completely where they cannot even see it. If it's view only, they just can't do any edits to it. Or if you want to schedule it to open at a certain time, that is another great way to use that scheduling option as well. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and remove that due date so they always have access, and I'll click save. And now you'll see my assignment is down here. You'll also notice that down here, I have a little message that says 1 out of 10 assignments active. You do have the option to have up to 10 assignments within this basic Showbie account. So that's great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put all of my homeworks in this one assignment so I don't use up any more of those 10 assignments that I have access to. So here is my assignment. I'm going to click on it. And then now we get to our shared items view. Over here, you'll see all of my students for this class. Your students will not have access to other students. There is no way for your students to communicate individually, like there's no chat option. I know that when my district rolled out the Microsoft 365, we were so concerned with I don't know about other people, but I did not want my kids to go into Teams and send each other little chat messages, direct chat message. That again, gave me the heebie-jeebies, didn't want any of that going on in my classroom. So there is no access for your kids to do that. They can interact with you, and they can interact with the assignment, but they cannot interact with each other. So here are all my kiddos, and this is where you're going to go to provide this shared items is going to be where you go to provide those learning materials and to view your student activity and provide individual feedback for your students. So let's go ahead and click on that shared items, and you'll see that it is completely blank. There are many different options that you can go ahead and add into the shared items folder. You can write a comment with maybe some resources you want your kids to have access to. You can post instructions, which actually I think I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and post instructions for this assignment for these comp reviews inside this comment box. Let's see. Okay, I've got it copied over here. Let's see if I can just paste it so you don't have to watch me typing all of this mess. Okay, perfect. So here are my instructions inside that comment. Again, you'll notice that you can use those fun emojis, which kids really respond to, and they make you look super cool. And then there's an option for you to either share with a certain amount of kids or with everybody, or even with nobody. So I'll show you how I use each one of those here in just a moment. So I'm going to post this to everybody. And then once I click this button here, now all of my kids have access to this post. So if I click on Chandler, you'll see that this is what his view is. He can see this post. Monica, same thing. Everybody can see all of these shared items since I have posted them to everybody. Okay, so here are my instructions for these weekly comp reviews. Now I need to actually give my kids the actual assignment that they will be doing. So instead of writing a comment, I'm going to click this plus button over here, and you'll see there are tons of different options for you to include inside the shared items folder. You can create a completely blank document. So for my fellow math teachers, you can create a grid of different sizes, or my husband is a music teacher. You can also have staff paper, blank staff paper that you can edit. There are those options. I mean, it's just limitless. And so I will click on that again, and then I can also add stuff from a camera or directly from my device or my Google Drive or OneDrive. There's a bunch of different options that you can include into these shared items folders. I'm going to go ahead and add my assignment from my OneDrive. From my Google Drive. So I'll click on that, and then let's see if I can select my file. Okay, so this is going to be comp review CBN. There it is. CBN stands for color by number. Sounds a little less elementary, and the cool kids don't make fun of you for talking about color by numbers. I'll go ahead and select that, give it a moment to upload. And again, since I sent it to everyone, now everybody has access to this document. Now, I have uploaded a PDF, but you can upload many file types. DocX files, PowerPoint files, any of those you can add. As long as it's 25 megabytes or less, you can add this into your shared items folder. Now, one thing that I'm not super crazy about is that now my comp review number 1 CBN is on top. I really want my instructions to be on top, and I always want them to be there so the kids can always reference it. So what I'll do is again, my shared items folder, I'll scroll down to my comment, and then I'm going to click these 3 buttons here, these 3 dots, and I'm going to say pin. So now what that did was that pinned that comment to the very top. So that's always going to be what the first thing that these kids will see once they open up this shared items document. So you'll see Chandler can see it up there at top. Ross can see it up there at the top. It's always going to be there. So there's never a question of, I don't remember how to do this. So there you go. So that is some shared items. Now, what if I wanted to add a document for maybe some students who get extra accommodations. For example, in my class, I had many, many students who got extra supplemental aids, or they were required to have multiplication charts. If I wanted to add those, I could to just those specific kids. So I'm going to go ahead and go up again to the shared items folder and click on the plus sign. I'm going to create another document from my Google Drive, and it's going to be my multiplication chart. I think I just called it multiplication. No. Let's see if that finds it. There it is. Okay, so here's my multiplication chart. And I went ahead and added it to everyone, but I don't want it to go to everybody. So I'm going to click where it says everyone, and I'm going to edit that to just, let's say, Joey and Phoebe. They're the ones who will get their multiplication chart. And then I will click save. And then now only Joey and Phoebe have access to that multiplication chart. And you'll see their name right here. So that's an excellent feature. Definitely should have used that more in my classroom, especially with items like this. But here's the main thing that I absolutely 100,000% should have been using in my classroom, and that's sharing things to no one. So we are always prepared at least a few days in advance for our classrooms. We try to be, at least. Sometimes things blow up, but so let's say I already have my comp review number 2 ready, but I don't want the kids to have access to it yet because that's not going to be due until next week. So what I can do is I can click up here, instead of to everyone, I can make it say share to no one. And so now I can front load all of my documents and release them as I need within this same document. And now I don't have to worry about it. It's all there. So I'm going to go ahead and find that document now from my Google Drive. Let's see, I want comp 2. There it is. And now it's posted to no one. So you'll notice that on Chandler's view, he doesn't see comp 2, he just sees comp 1. Phoebe doesn't see comp 2, she just sees comp 1 and her multiplication chart. But whenever I'm ready to release that material, I can go ahead and say, okay, change that from no one to everyone. And then there it is. So fantastic, super easy. Absolutely should have used that in my classroom. Didn't, and regret it. So I hope that kind of opened your eyes to how easy it was to add the materials that you've already created into your Showbie classroom. You've already done all the hard work. This is just distributing the work in a super efficient, super easy way, not only for you, but also for your kids. So now let's dive a little bit deeper into the fun things that you can do within each document inside Showbie, what you can do and what your kids can do. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open up Computation Spiral Review number 1, my CBN color by number. The reason I did this in my classroom is because it exposed my kids to what their homework was going to look like every single week. So they were never like, I don't know what a homework looks like. Well, it looks like this. So it exposed them to what the homework looks like. And it also allows them to play around with the Showbie annotation tools. Now, I give them this opportunity on like day 2 or 3 of school, because our kids, I mean, once they see all these different colors and all these different tools, they're just going to want to doodle and play around forever. So I give them that opportunity in the first couple of days, but then I say, okay, this is your opportunity. Once we start doing notes, either tomorrow or next week, or whenever you start getting down to business, you don't get to play anymore. I gave you the opportunity. You can play in Comp 1 color by number, but you can't do it anymore in our notes or anywhere else. So it was a great opportunity for my kids to kind of play around a little bit with it. So what I'm in right now is I'm in the shared annotation tool view. So in the, shared items, I am in the document that's going to be viewable to everybody in my classroom. So any type of edit that I make to this document is going to show up on everybody's document. So that really helped me out. Sometimes whenever I had typos, I could fix them real quick and it fixed it for every kid. I didn't have to say, okay, now look for this word. This is supposed to be this. I could just go in and quickly change it on my own. So any edits that I make, again, are viewable to all my kids. Let's see. So we'll go ahead and just dive right into the fun annotation tools up here at the very top. Firstly is the pen tool. If you tap or click twice on the pen tool, you can open up the different colors and the different sizes that you have the capability of using. When I first started using Showbie in the free version, there were no colors. So my kids could only use black and there was only one thickness, I believe. So when I got Showbie Pro and they had access to all the colors, it was like, oh, like the sun shined down and then they could finally see, and it was amazing. They absolutely loved it. So tap twice on the pen. There are multiple colors and thicknesses. Same thing for this highlighter. There are different colors and thickness opportunities for you as well. Then, of course, we have this eraser. And then my next two tools, I'm going to skip this voice note for now, and I'm just going to go straight into the comments and text tool. Some of my kids were very self-conscious about their handwriting, and they were not super thrilled with having a stylus, and they just didn't have the dexterity, and it was hard for them to write on some of these documents. So what they used were these two tools. They would use the comment bubble and the text tool. So the comment bubble, if you just click up there and then tap anywhere in the document, you can create a comment. So, like so, you can save it, and then now it will show up wherever you place it. My favorite part about this is you can tap it again and it goes away. So it's not cluttering up your document. I guess a fancy way of saying this is it's economizing your document real estate. You don't have to worry about having so much stuff all over the page. So there's that. And whoopsies, let's not do another one. So there's that. And then there's also the text feature. My kids use the text feature, the text box feature, mostly for notes and things that were very methodical. You know what I mean? So you just like everything else, you just tap on the text box, tap wherever you want it inside your document, type your text. And I think that's a little too big. So I'm going to go ahead and tap again on that text box tool and say, whoa there, let's make it a little bit smaller and change the size of that text. You can also, again, change its color, change where it's positioned inside the text box. And there you have it. But again, that will show up everywhere. You can't make it disappear like a comment bubble, but sometimes you want that. And then lastly, we have this voice note feature, which I really utilized a lot in my classroom, especially for my remote learning kiddos or for my kids who had to go short-term virtual. To me, my kids responded much better to feedback whenever it was my actual voice rather than me click-clack typing things. And it actually has saved me a lot of time rather than trying to figure out what to click-clack type. I could just give them my verbal feedback and move on to the next issue. So if it's just like the comment bubble, I can click on it, click where I want it to go, record my voice feedback. This is looking great. You're doing a great job. Save it. And there it is. Again, you can make it disappear if you want to give you a little bit more room. one way that you can use this, if any of you are music teachers, my husband is a music teacher at the school that I just left. He uses this with his kids to pass off lines. So they have rhythm sheets that they have to pass off. So he puts their rhythm sheet in Showbie, and then they have to go home and they have to put voice notes in, clapping or tapping off each rhythm, each rhythm line. And that's a great way for him to free up instructional time inside the classroom. So he's not doing that for 30 minutes inside of a class. He's having the kids do that at home for homework. And it is just a really, really excellent way to give feedback to your kids and for your kids to also give feedback to you. So if they have a question on a certain assignment, sometimes it's easier for them to just say, hey, I don't really get what this is, in a voice note, rather than having them type things out, which is sometimes a mess in itself. So those are the annotation tools that you as a teacher and your students have access to inside each assignment in Showbie. And all of these, again, are so intuitive and so easy to use and figure out. I know that your kids, if you give them one day to play around with it, like this assignment that I have with their comp review color by number, let them play around with it, and they will get so excited about using it every day, and it will just become such a part of your classroom environment, and it will really make things easier for you. So I'm gonna go ahead and click done out of that, and let's see, let's move on to my top tips. Let's see. Okay, top tip number one. One of my favorite things about Showbie is the quick marking feature. So let's say Chandler, Phoebe, Monica, everybody has gone ahead and done their assignment, and I am ready to grade it. So what I can do is I can go into one of my students' assignments, and let's say Chandler has done all of this on his own by himself, and I am ready to go ahead and give him feedback. What I can do is this is just Chandler's view. I can say, great job. I'll go ahead and give him a text. Or I can give him a grade up there at the top. And now that I'm done with that, instead of going out and into a new student, I can just click on Chandler's face up here at the top right and click on my next student. And it opens up their document on the same page that I was on Chandler's. So I can do all of this page one for all of my kids. So if I want to do Phoebe's, here's Phoebe, swipe Monica, swipe Ross Geller, swipe all the way down. I can do all of their first pages. And then once I get to the end of my roster, okay, now I can go back and do page two. So I've already done page one for Joey. Let's do page two. Okay, here's feedback for Joey on page two. Now here's feedback for Rachel on page two, and so on and so forth. So you're not going out and in and out and in, and that just takes up so much time. This saves so much of your grading time. It just kind of comes very procedural. It's very quick. If you're on the iPad, instead of clicking these arrows, you can swipe, which makes it even faster. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. So that is one of my absolute top favorite features of Showbie. Another cool feature is submitting paper documents into assignments. So let's say I'm Rachel Green, and I'm going to grab my phone out here just because I'm Rachel Green. And I'm going to open up Showbie on my phone. And Rachel Green has an accommodation that says she always has to have hard copies of her assignments. So what Rachel can do is she can go home, sign into her Showbie account, and download a copy of this PDF of her assignment PDF, do all of her work on paper, which it looks like I just so happen to have right here. And then once she goes into that assignment, one of her options is to scan a document. So I'll do that in real time here, so you just can see what it looks like as a teacher from the teacher view. So that's done. I'm going to go ahead and submit it. There it goes. And now you'll see that in Rachel's name, you have this paperclip. That means she's edited this document in some way. And you'll see that just now, she uploaded a scanned copy of her assignment into that Showbie folder. And now I can grade it just as easily as all the other kiddos. And I'm not taking crates of paper home. Again, I'm not taking really any paper home because everything is submitted through Showbie. So that is another excellent feature that I absolutely used multiple times with my kids. This scanning feature is not available on anything but mobile. So if you have an iPad or on their iPhone app or the web app on Android, you can absolutely scan a document. If they don't have access to those mobile devices, like if they want to try doing that in class, I suggest that you as the teacher sign in on your mobile device and then add that to their their individual student assignment, just to make your life easier. I promise it's not going to take more than 38 seconds for you to do that. and then you don't have to worry about taking any paper home and keeping up with it and then giving it back to those kids. So that's top tip number 2. Last one, and then I will open this up for questions, is copying assignments to other classes. So if I have an assignment that I want to give to all of my classes, so what I typically do with my kids is we always set goals for ourselves at the beginning of each unit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create in my second period class, I'm going to create another assignment, and it's going to be my hashtag goals assignment. And this is what I'm going to be copying to every single one of my classes, because everybody needs to have access to this. Every single one of my classes needs to have access. Again, no due date. They're going to have access to that all the time. I'll click into it and go to the shared items. You'll see that I don't have any kids in this class. That's okay. And then here I will go ahead and upload a PDF of all of my kids' student data trackers for them to start setting their goals within each unit. So let's go to my Google Drive again, and then I'll do okay, so here are my data trackers. I've got unit 1 and 2. We had unit 1 and 2 at the same time, unit 3 and unit 4. So I'll go ahead and select. I'll go ahead and select all 3 of those. So here it goes, uploading all of those into that folder. I'll go ahead and rearrange them. So unit 1 is on top. I will make you watch me do that because we're running low on time. But if you want to go ahead and reorganize those, you're absolutely capable of doing that. But now I want all of my kids and all of my classes to have access to this document. So I can go out of that assignment, and then I can click onto this, go out of that shared items folder, and then click on the wrench up here at the top, and then just click copy assignment. And you can either click one class that you want to assign it to, or you can click this button, weird, whatever it's called up here at the top, and you can click on whichever classes you want it to be included in. I'm going to say all of them except for second period because that's where it originated. Copy assignment. And here it goes. And now it's added to all of my classes. Hashtag goals, hashtag goals. Now all of my classes have access to that assignment in those documents. So those are my top tips. My hope is that you were inspired to start using some of the things that you have already created and implementing Showbie inside of your classroom to kind of maybe ease your classroom environment. I will open up any conversation, discussion, questions that you might have. If you think of anything later on down the road, here is my, oh, I hope you can see this. Here is my contact information. I'm just Kate at Showbie.com. And you can call or text. This is my Google Voice number, 806-828-0127. Please feel free to reach out to me. I am a real person, and I am happy to answer any questions, give you any pointers, tips, help you out in any way, shape, or form that I can in order to get you started on your Showbie journey. This was so much fun, and I so appreciate you coming today. And I look forward to maybe seeing you in the more advanced webinar, going further with some more Showbie things that you could do. But until then, I'll see you next time.